I'm Tom Hastings from Hastings Coastal Woodworks in Newport, Oregon, and today I'm going to show you how I turn a natural edge bowl and leave the bark on, and we're going to use a branch to do that. This is a piece of apple, and it's just a branch piece. We start off with a branch that we've cut in half, and I'm going to put it on the lathe and turn it into this. Okay, you turn this the same way you would a bowl, except you've got these ends turning around with air in between them. So you have to kind of watch when you're turning it that you don't stick your fingers or your tools in there and get a catch. So you got to have a soft touch and take it slow. Don't get in a big hurry. But pretty much anybody that's turned a bowl can turn one of these. With this piece, I'm going to start between centers, and what I've done here is taken a chisel and taken a little bit of the bark off so that it doesn't slip on the drive center. And now I'm going to put it in and center it. And what I'm looking for is this top edge to be straight or perpendicular to the lathe. I can always move this bottom, but for the piece to be even side to side and end to end, I've got to position this piece in the lathe so that the bark side will give me that bowl. For making this, I'm going to use a 5/8 bowl gouge to start with, and I'm going to just make some either push cuts or pull cuts to get rid of some of this excess here. And the way I'm going to cut this is I'm going to straighten this bottom up and end up with a tenon on it, which will actually be the foot of the bowl. And then I'll start bringing my sides up till I reach the edge, and it's even side to side. What I've done now is I've turned into the side and flattened this edge, so that gives me a parallel top and bottom, and I've put a tenon on here for my chuck. I've still got a little bit of a rough edge in here. I'm going to try and get rid of a little bit of that, and I'm going to clean this tenon up a little bit, and then we'll start working on the top part. Now at this point, you're able to see the shadow over here on this side. That's the top of your bark. That's where we're going to work to. As I was turning, I'm coming from solid wood, and all of a sudden I start hitting wood 50% of the time, and then I'm going to come out here and work up to this shadow. I really can't see where I'm at. It's got to just be done by feel. I'm going to stop and reposition my tool rest. I'm getting a little far over the rest. But you can see where I'm going here. I need to go right up to here on both ends, and I'm pretty even. And I'm pretty even on both sides. At this point, if you're not even, you could actually move it between centers and straighten it up so that you do have even sides. Getting close. We're going to stop and check it out. Yeah, we got a little bit more to go. Okay, you can see we're up here on one end, we're up on the other end. So we're getting a few tool marks around here because we're hitting here. We've got wood, no wood, wood, no wood. So you can see we're going to get a few tool marks. I'm going to shift to a different gouge and see if I can't get rid of some of those tool marks and just do kind of a finishing cut. Looks alright. Got a few tool marks, but not enough that I can't sand them out. Do a little decoration to this bottom. Okay, what I've done is I've tapered that in a little bit, and we'll use that for the chuck, and then I've concaved it a little bit so that when it sits, it'll set on this outer rim. And I did that with a skew because I get a better cut with a skew, and I won't have to sand it because when I get taking this off, I can't turn it around. It's going to have to be taken off by hand. So now I'm going to clean up right there a little bit and turn it around. Okay, I've taken it off between centers, and we had a little bit of a piece there, and I just used a chisel and chiseled it off. We'll sand it when we get done. So now I've got a tenon here that's actually going to be the foot of the bowl, so it will set on that tenon when we're done. So I'm going to put it in the chuck using that tenon and turn out the inside. Again, I tighten from both sides on the chuck. This piece happens to be dry. It's not green, so when I tighten the chuck, it typically will stay there. I won't have to stop and retighten it like I will with a green piece. So I've got it in the chuck and ready to start hollowing out the inside. I'm going to do the inside the same way you would as a bowl. I'm going to start from the center and work my way out. I'm not going to go too deep because I'm going to need support on these ends because they're end grain. So if you don't have any support here, you'll have broken off ears. So again, I'm going to start with a 5/8 bowl gouge, and we're going to start relieving some wood. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start in the center. This is the piece we chiseled out. hear it start thumping now. We're on the more air than wood area of the piece. Now you can start watching the shadow and see where the outside is and see where the inside is, so you can see how thick you want it. I'm going to try and bring this down to about 1/4 to 5/16 of an inch in thickness. So you can see what that looks like now. We're at about 3/8 of an inch. Okay, I changed to a different gouge. It's a little shorter. Okay, let's see about finishing off this outside edge. Okay, that looks like about the thickness we want. So now all we have to do is get rid of this area in here that we don't want. Okay, we're getting there. Still a little thick right here. I got to take it a little bit more. But we're getting down there and we're getting even on both sides, so. Really light cuts out here. You got no support. We just took the support away. Stop and look and see where we're at. Thickness looks like it's about there. Got a few tool marks. Gonna have to make a finish cut before we go too far. And take about another 1/2 inch off the center. So let's start with a finishing cut. Looks a little better. So we're done with these wings. We won't ever go back to them. So now we just need to take about 1/2 inch off this out of the inside. Stop, take a look at our depth. Looks about right, so let's finish it off. I'm going to move my tool rest in a little bit, give me a little more support. Remember those wings, you can't move the tool rest in too far. Looks like a finishing cut and we should be done. Okay, at this point you'd sand it. A wing bowl like this, it's a little tough to sand by hand. What I will typically do is take it off the lathe and use a 2-inch sanding pad on a drill and sand the inside till I get my tool marks out, and do the same on the outside. And then I'll finish it with Doctor's Woodshop walnut oil. I live on the coast, and so I have problems with finishings drying, and I've gone pretty much exclusively to walnut oil because it will dry in the humidity I've got out there. So here's our finished piece. As you can see, we've got ended up with a little bit of a bark inclusion right here. Some people will fill that. People use inlace or ebony dust or turquoise, whatever they want to highlight it with. And some people just leave it the way it is. The tenon that we used on it to hold it on the chuck is going to be the foot. So that's what it's going to stand on here. And that's what it's going to look like when you've got it on your table. Now I haven't sanded this and I haven't put the walnut oil on it, but I do have one that I have done that with. And this has the walnut oil on it, and it's been sanded. And as you can see, it's got a little decorative foot here, which is how I held it in the chuck.